Some days end with sunset. These 10 ended cities, empires, and once nearly everything alive. These are the worst last days in history, and I will tell you exactly what I think each one of them means. Day 1, Pompeii. August 79 AD. In the Roman city of Pompeii, 20,000 people are having a completely normal morning. Bakers slide 80 loaves into the ovens. A dog is chained by a doorway. Somebody scratches a joke into a wall. 6 miles away, Mount Vesuvius clears its throat. Just after midday, the mountain explodes with the force of thousands of atomic bombs, and a column of burning rock punches 20 miles into the sky. Then the stones start falling. For 18 hours, Pompeii is bombarded. Roofs collapse under the weight. The people who ran early are the ones who live. At dawn, the column collapses, and a wall of gas hotter than an oven rolls down the mountain at 100 miles an hour. It kills everyone it touches faster than they can flinch. The city vanishes under 20 feet of ash and stays there, sealed, for 17 centuries. When excavators dig it out, they find the hollows where people fell and fill them with plaster. A man shielding his face, a family on a staircase, that chained dog. Here is my honest opinion about Pompeii. Every other ancient city shows you what emperors wanted remembered. Marble, victories, propaganda. Pompeii is the only city that shows you the Tuesday, the bread in the oven, the joke on the wall. I think those 80 carbonized loaves teach you more about Rome than every statue of every Caesar combined. Disagree if you want, but ask yourself which one made you feel something. And remember this, Pompeii never saw it coming. The people on the next last day watched death crawl toward them for 3 hours, and still rode away with empty seats. Day 2, the Titanic. April 14th, 1912. 20 minutes to midnight in the North Atlantic. The lookout of the Titanic rings the bell 3 times. The unsinkable ship grazes an iceberg, and the sea starts pouring in below the waterline. Here's the mathematics of the next 3 hours. 2,200 people on board. Lifeboat seats for about half of them. On the boat deck, the crew loads women and children. The first boats leave half empty anyway. Seat after seat, rowing away into the dark. Below decks, third-class passengers navigate a maze of corridors most of them have never been allowed to see the top of. And through all of it, the ship's 8-man band sets up on deck and plays, to keep the crowd calm. They are still playing as the bow goes under. At 2:20 in the morning, the Titanic breaks in half and takes 1,500 people down with her. The survivors in the half-empty boats spend the night listening to the water behind them go quiet. Everyone romanticizes the band, and fine, they earned it. But my take is different. The band is not the story. The half-empty lifeboats are the story. Hundreds of seats rode away unused while people begged behind them, because everyone stayed polite, orderly, and completely unable to believe the worst was actually happening. That is the most human detail on this entire list. In a real catastrophe, disbelief kills more people than the iceberg does. The Titanic at least gave its people 3 hours. The next disaster gave them 34 seconds. Day 3, the Hindenburg. May 6, 1937, New Jersey. The airship Hindenburg, the largest flying object ever built, comes into land after a smooth Atlantic crossing. 3 football fields long, a flying luxury hotel with a piano on board, held up by 7 million cubic feet of hydrogen. Which is to say, the passengers are drinking cocktails inside a bomb. At 7:25 in the evening, as the mooring lines drop, a flame flickers on the tail. What happens next takes 34 seconds. That is the entire disaster. 34 seconds from luxury liner to a skeleton of glowing steel. People leap from windows. Crewmen ride the falling frame down and crawl out from underneath it. And a radio reporter named Herbert Morrison sobs the most famous words in broadcast history. Oh, the humanity. 62 of the 97 people on board get out alive. But the burning pictures travel the world by morning, and the age of the airship ends that evening. Now here is what I actually think happened there. We did not abandon airships because they were deadly. Ocean liners kept sinking, and we kept boarding ocean liners. We abandoned airships because this one died on camera. The Hindenburg is the first disaster in history killed by publicity, and to me, that date matters more than the fire. From that evening on, it is not how dangerous a thing is that decides its future. It is how its worst day looks on film. Cameras made that disaster famous. On the next last day, the cameras and the clocks themselves were burned still. Day 4. Hiroshima. August 6th, 1945. Hiroshima, Japan. The morning is clear and warm. Air raid sirens have already sounded and cleared once because it was only 3 planes, and 3 planes are not worth a shelter. One of them is the Enola Gay. At 8:15, a single bomb detonates 1,900 feet above the city center. In 1 second, the temperature at ground zero passes that of the surface of the sun. People simply cease to exist, and the light burns their silhouettes onto the stone behind them. On the steps of a bank, a person sitting down to wait becomes a shadow, permanently printed where they sat. Across the city, wristwatches stop at 8:15, their hands fused by the flash. Around 70,000 people die before the sound finishes arriving. By the end of the year, radiation roughly doubles that number. 3 days later, it happens again, over Nagasaki. Japan surrenders within the week. People will argue forever about whether the bomb should have been dropped, and I am not going to settle that here. I will tell you what I believe about the shadow. We measure catastrophes in numbers, and numbers protect us, because 70,000 is not something a human brain can feel. The shadow on those steps is 1 second of one person made permanent. I think it is the most important war memorial on Earth, precisely because it refuses to be a number. That was a whole city's last morning. The next last day belongs to one single family in one single room. Day 5. The Romanovs. July 16, 1918, Yekaterinburg, Russia. Nicholas II, the last Tsar of an empire that stretched across 11 time zones, spends his evening playing cards with his family in the house where the revolution keeps them prisoner. After midnight, the guards wake them. There is fighting near the city, they say. Come down to the cellar for your own safety. Nicholas carries his son down the stairs. The family dresses carefully. The daughters put on their travel corsets, into which they have secretly sewn the family diamonds. Pounds of them, hidden against exactly this kind of night. In the cellar, an execution squad reads a single sentence and opens fire. And the night turns grotesque because the bullets keep bouncing. The hidden diamonds work as armor. What was meant to take seconds becomes a prolonged horror that the executioners describe with disgust for the rest of their lives. By morning, 300 years of Romanov rule is a hidden grave in a forest. My take on this one is simple, and it is the diamonds. The single most concentrated form of wealth on the planet, sewn against the body, and on the one night that mattered, all it bought was worse minutes. If you want to understand why empires fall in one image, I will give you that image. Diamonds working perfectly as armor, and saving absolutely no one. The Romanovs' world ended in one night, and they knew it was ending. The next city died on a Saturday and did not even notice. Day 6. Chernobyl. April 26, 1986, 1:23 in the morning. In the control room of Chernobyl reactor number 4, engineers run a routine safety test. The test goes wrong, the emergency button makes it worse, and the reactor core detonates, blowing the 1,000-ton lid off the building and setting the night sky glowing. Here is the strange part. The nearest city does not have its last day yet. Pripyat, 50,000 people, 3 kilometers away, wakes up that Saturday and carries on. Kids go to school, 16 weddings are held. People stand on a railway bridge to watch the pretty glow over the plant. The air itself is invisible poison, and nobody has told them. The city gets 36 more hours of ordinary life. Then, a voice on the radio announces a temporary evacuation. Take documents and 3 days of clothes. 1,100 buses line up. Nobody ever comes back. The amusement park, scheduled to open 5 days later, never opens. Its Ferris wheel is still standing there today, 40 years into a temporary evacuation. The radiation was physics. Physics does not have a conscience. But those 36 silent hours were a decision, made by men in offices who knew, while children played under the fallout. That, in my opinion, is the actual disaster of Chernobyl. The reactor killed the city, but the silence killed the people. And I do not think any government on Earth has fully given up that instinct. Tell me in the comments if you think yours has. A government hid that last day from its own people. The next one was broadcast live, on purpose, into classrooms full of children. Day 7. Challenger. January 28, 1986, Cape Canaveral, Florida. The coldest morning a space shuttle has ever launched into. There is ice on the tower. On board Challenger is Krista McAuliffe, a high school teacher, about to become the first ordinary citizen in space. Because of her, classrooms across America have wheeled in televisions. Millions of children are watching live, some of them her own students. The night before, engineers warned that the shuttle's rubber booster seals stiffen in the cold. The warning lost the argument. At 11:38 in the morning, Challenger lifts off, and for 73 seconds it is a perfect flight. At second 73, the cold seal fails, and the shuttle tears apart on live television, in front of the children it was supposed to inspire. All 7 astronauts are lost. The teachers watching had no script for it. Many just turned the televisions off. Here is the sentence I cannot get past. The warning was written down the night before. This is the only disaster on this list that was specifically predicted, in writing, hours in advance, by the people who built the machine. and it launched anyway because a meeting decided the schedule mattered more. My opinion. We love to call disasters acts of God. Most of them are minutes of meetings. You are welcome to argue with me, but bring the meeting minutes. 7 people lost to one bad decision. The next man on this list spent 20 years earning his last day, one decision at a time. Day 8. Mussolini. April 27th, 1945, Northern Italy. Benito Mussolini, the man who invented fascism and ruled Italy for 20 years, rides in a German convoy toward the Swiss border, wearing a German corporal's greatcoat over the most photographed jawline in Italy. It does not work. At a checkpoint, partisans board the truck, and one of them looks twice. The dictator, who addressed roaring crowds from balconies, spends his last night in a farmhouse. The next afternoon, he and his mistress are stood against a wall and shot. But his last day is not finished, because his body has one more appointment. It is driven to Milan and dumped in Piazzale Loreto, at a petrol station, the exact spot where his regime had displayed the bodies of executed partisans the year before. The crowd he once commanded now returns the display, and Mussolini is hung upside down from the girder. I do not believe in karma. History is not fair enough for karma. But I believe in this. Dictators write their own endings years in advance, and then spend their final day surprised by their own handwriting. He chose that square. He taught that lesson. The crowd just repeated it back to him. For my money, that is not justice arriving. That is an echo. One man's last day, arranged entirely by other men. The next one, the planet arranged itself. Day 9. Krakatoa. August 27th, 1883, Indonesia. The volcanic island of Krakatoa has been rumbling for months, and excursion boats have been selling tickets to watch it. At 2 minutes past 10 in the morning, the island stops rumbling and simply ceases to exist. The explosion is the loudest sound in recorded history. 40 miles away, it bursts the eardrums of sailors on passing ships. 3,000 miles away, police log it as distant cannon fire. That is the distance from New York to London. The pressure wave circles the entire planet multiple times. But the sound is not the killer. The sea is. The collapsing island shoves waves over 30 meters tall onto the coasts of Java and Sumatra, and erases 165 villages. Around 36,000 people die in water that arrived without warning. For years afterward, sunsets across the whole planet burn so violently red that fire brigades in New York are called out to horizon fires that are not there. The detail I keep coming back to is the ticket boats. People paid money to sail closer to it. And before you laugh at the Victorians, understand that we have not changed at all. We build cities on fault lines, resorts on tsunami coasts, and we film tornadoes from parking lots. My honest opinion? Krakatoa's lesson was never about volcanoes. The Earth does not issue warnings, it issues previews, and we buy tickets to them. The loudest sound in human history, and it is a whisper compared to the last day of all. Day 10. The Dinosaurs. Every last day so far happened to people. The worst one happened to almost everything alive. 66 million years ago, on an ordinary afternoon, an asteroid 6 miles wide comes in over what is now Mexico, moving at 20 kilometers per second. A T-Rex standing at the horizon would have seen a second sun fall out of the sky. The impact hits with the force of billions of atomic bombs. The crater is 100 miles wide. Molten rock rains back down across the planet as glowing glass, and the sky itself begins to broil. In North Dakota, 2,000 miles away, fish are buried alive mid-swim, glass beads lodged in their gills, entombed within hours of the impact. We dug them up in 2019, a fossilized snapshot of the actual afternoon. Then comes the long night. Dust seals off the sun, photosynthesis fails, and the food chain collapses from the bottom. 3/4 of all species on Earth die, and 165 million years of dinosaur rule ends in a single geological instant. And here is the opinion I will leave you with. The dinosaurs did nothing wrong. Every other day on this list has a human fingerprint on it somewhere. A silent official, a skipped warning, a polite lifeboat. This one has none. It is the universe reminding us that the stage itself is temporary. You are alive, watching this, because of the worst day in the history of the Earth. I think that should feel much stranger than it does. 10 last days. A city sealed in ash, a shadow on a staircase, a Ferris wheel that never opened, and one very bad afternoon 66 million years ago. The unsettling part is that not one of them knew. Every one of these days started as an ordinary morning. So here is my question for you. Which of these 10 would you least want to live through? Leave your answer in the comments. I know mine, and it is not the asteroid. If you want more days like these, the channel is full of them. See you next time.